All right. Welcome to episode 10 of the Locker Room Podcast. I am Jalen Banks, joined with my lifelong friend and co-host Kijana Caldwell, two former high school teammates turned collegiate athletes who now just talk ball and all things in the world of sports. My dog, how's it going?
Hey, like I said, always you cannot complain. Having a great day, man. Look, we're getting started though. High school football. The season is coming soon. We're right around the corner. Kids starting up school soon.
Football in general.
I know. Best season is football season.
You can feel it in the air.
Look,
you can feel it in the air.
Best season is football season. You love to see it. You love to see it.
You can just feel it in the air.
But look, let's get started on our first topic, man. Look, let's get after it right away.
Yeah, real quick. Big shout out to the one, the only Tyron Honey Badger Matthew on his retirement. So let's go ahead and clap it up for the boy.
Tyron Matthew. Baller.
Baller. 12 seasons in the NFL. He was a part of that legendary LSU secondary that featured him, that had Patrick Peterson, Morris Claiborne. Was it Eric Reed that was a part of that secondary as well? Like, they were all like NFL starters / Pro Bowlers, all pro players that were a part of that like legendary secondary. I feel a little ashamed now that when we were talking about highlights, we didn't include his college highlight.
Crazy.
One of the best college highlights ever. But I mean, talk about, I don't even want to necessarily call like a redemption story, but Tyron had like some troubles in his early 20s in college, which, led to him falling in the draft. Like, he was, consensus All-American, All-SEC player. Even like people thought he could be like a Heisman finalist. Falls to the third round of the NFL draft just because of some of the concerns about his character and off-field issues. He became one of the best stewards of the game, and at the height of his career was one of the best safeties and one of the best players in all of football. So, I mean, I'm sure you playing the position probably watched a lot of Honey Badger in your day.
Yeah, man. Look, if you talking about pursuit angles, tracking, tackling, Tyron Matthew did that. And dude, it's that legendary number 7 too. That LSU 7. Like, how nowadays they carry that number on and on. And I'm not saying he started it, but he sure did carry it and show that number 7 is there for a reason. Not just in college, but he carried that same mentality over to the league. So you gotta just appreciate what he did for the game, what he did for the safety position, and just what he did for football. Look, I'm just pleased. I'm glad that we were able to witness that in our time of watching football. So it was a great experience to watch Tyron Matthew play, and just appreciative of his legacy in the NFL.
Yeah, you're talking about, what he did for the sport. And I'm not saying that he was the pioneer of the position, because we've seen, super versatile DBs, but he was really at the forefront of this like new era of DBs that we see in the NFL, that corner nickel safety hybrid. I remember like 2015 when he was all pro, would look at, like all the different positions he played on the field. And so we're seeing that with guys like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We're seeing that with guys like with Brian Branch. We're seeing that with guys, Cooper DeJean, and a plethora of others that I'm probably blanking on at the moment. Jalen Ramsey does quite a bit of that. He's more like, he has played that star position more as his career is going on, instead of just playing on the outside. But just having the versatility at the DB position, again, he was one of those guys that in the modern day NFL was really at the forefront of it.
Yeah, well, appreciative. That's all I got, man. I'm just appreciative of that.
But I mean, I'm happy he finished his career in New Orleans, but the Saints just in general, just want to touch on it. He's retired this offseason. Jimmy Graham has retired this offseason. Ryan Ramczyk has retired this offseason, and Derek Carr has retired this offseason. When he went there, I was excited for him just because it's like, at the time they still had like a solid roster and an NFC South that was still kind of in the flux. So I thought that, hey, maybe he may be able to go on a run, back in his home state as he closed out his career. Things were kind of in flux in New Orleans the last few years, but all those guys retiring, like staples of the franchise, maybe not so much Derek because he was a little bit newer, but I think this kind of closes that chapter of what was once like the Sean Payton Saints, if you know what I mean.
Yep. New era definitely for the Saints. We'll see how they come out this season. with all those retirements. I think it's a lot of like veteran leadership that left the locker room that you're going to have to regain. We should see how that plays out in New Orleans.
Yeah. But in other news, right before training camp started, the Green Bay Packers made a splash extension, extending right tackle Zach Tom to a 4-year. Mud gun alert! Mud gun alert! Well, let's clap it up for Zach real quick.
Tom, look, another
4 years, $88 million.
Another big man gets paid.
And if I'm not mistaken, he signed the biggest signing bonus of any offensive lineman in NFL history. I know a lot of people are like, why is Zach Tom, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to the signing bonus, and I feel as if each episode where we talk about contracts, we give the audience a little bit more of an understanding, insight as to how they work. When you give them that big signing bonus, it gives you more flexibility with your cap further down the line. So that's one thing the Eagles have done really well with Jalen Hurts and others is they pay them that huge signing bonus. Then their yearly salary goes down. It's now more incentive based with the years on, as opposed to up front. So, I mean, Zach Tom has been a really good player for them. He's played all over the offensive line. He's played right tackle, he's played guard, he's played left tackle. And one thing that we've seen the Packers do these last couple years is make that investment into the offensive line. They extended him. They went out and signed Aaron Banks to free agency. They drafted Jordan Morgan last year in the first round out of UCLA. But I think this is a trend that we're seeing across the entire NFL is investing into linemen, partially because the development of linemen is getting more difficult because whether it's high school, college, or NFL, you don't have nearly as many padded practices as you once had. So those live reps of blocking are fewer, which means if you have somebody that's good, you got to lock them up because the chances of you finding another good one continues to become a little bit more difficult because of the way that football as a whole, in the attempt to make it safer, has made certain positions tougher to develop and evaluate.
Yeah, and I think it's just big for the Packers in general as their offensive scheme. They are big on their 6-man, 7-man protections, protecting the quarterback, drop back pass. Like that's something they lean on, running the football. Of course, that's just how they play football. That's just the Packer way. So really investing in their line and signing guys like Zach Tom, that just shows their commitment to how they play the game of football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Matt LaFleur came from Tennessee. Tennessee, the past 10 years, has been known for running the football. And we saw early on in his time in Green Bay, he wanted to really make that transition over into being running the football, heavy play action, but he relinquished a lot of that so that Aaron could do what he could do. Now, it panned out because Aaron went on to win 2 MVPs under Matt LaFleur. But now with Jordan Love, Jordan, even though he's super talented, doesn't quite have the agency that up until that point, 2-time MVP Super Bowl champion Aaron Rodgers had, to where he could say, hey, look, we're not about to come out here and run the ball 25, 30, 35 times a game. I'm sorry. But we saw last year in particular, Jordan still kind of finding his footing. Josh Jacobs is going to get a lot of touches. Marshawn Lloyd, who was hurt a lot of last season, one of their draft picks, running back from USC, is going to be back this year. He's a big dude. And so one thing that we know about running the ball limits turnovers. If you limit your turnovers, gives you a better chance to win the game. But yeah, I just think it's been a little bit understated just how much Green Bay has invested into their front. And I mean, I think it's only going to help Jordan in the future.
Yeah. Yep. So that's good. That's that big money on alert. Glad, like I said, glad to see offensive linemen getting paid. But some news recently coming out of the NFL training camps, like we mentioned, they're just starting up this week. Second day of practice. We've got some injuries occurring already, and one being quarterback Justin Fields. Left practice today with a apparent lower leg injury, which after practice they went back and said it was a toe injury. I believe they said dislocated toe. I'm not sure which one it was, but not sure how long that takes him out for. But it always hurts to lose a quarterback, especially a new one in a new program with a new head coach, new general manager, new environment. It's kind of tough to lose a quarterback when he's fighting to become the leader of your team in a new place, trying to win games.
We had talked about this a little bit, in our group chat. When it comes to quarterbacks getting hurt in practice, typically it's non-contact. This was somebody stepping on his foot. quarterbacks, especially in the NFL, do not get touched.
Like, you'll touch the cube.
Like, do not get touched. A little bit in high school, I'd say our head coach was like somewhat lenient on it. I wasn't getting blasted or anything, but like, if I got like, hit at the end of a play, like, so be it. When I was in college, I had a ton of different head coaches, just depend on the head coach. But typically, you just stay off the quarterback. In the NFL, if you watch Hard Knocks whatsoever, go back and, if anybody is like a fan of Hard Knocks, go back and watch the 2018 Cleveland Browns training camp. Their offensive coordinator, Todd Haley, they had like a montage of him screaming, stay away from the quarterback, stay away from the quarterback, stay away from the quarterback.
You will get
Jim
cut.
Harbaugh cut.
Released. You're off the squad.
Like, get out. Now I'm going to assume Justin's running with the ones. So whoever this defender is probably is a one.
That's the thing. I don't know if it was. Did they say if it was a defender or not? Because it could have been off the lineman, step back or something like that, but I don't know. But if it was a defender.
So apparently the play was a sprint out or like a boot of some, like he was out of the pocket.
Gotcha.
So maybe it was somebody tagging off and they just
flip by, and I don't know, but yeah. Too close. You're too close already.
Yeah, but if it's a big toe, like that's where you plant, that's where you explode off of. Like as a quarterback, you play on the balls of your feet. So if it's a big toe injury, I'd imagine he won't be out for too long. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they did bring out the cart, he walked into the facility, but like they had to cart him to the facility, just doesn't necessarily bode well. Hopefully he can, just take some time and be back. Thankfully for them, they have Tyrod Taylor as their backup. Yeah. So in the event that Justin does miss some time, you got a consummate professional, former Pro Bowler, and playoff starting QB.
And that's what Aaron Glenn came out and said. Like he said, I believe he's named Justin as a starter right now. They gave him some money. He's a starting quarterback. But he said he has full faith in Tyrod Taylor to be coming in, a multi-year veteran in the NFL, to fill that role as needed. So, in that time being, Tyrod Taylor is the guy to step up in the absence of Justin Fields. Nevertheless, hopefully Justin gets back and is back on the field sooner rather than later.
Yeah. And then secondly, thankfully up until this point, we haven't had like any major injuries. Like typically in training camp, you just hear like some awful news about a player that you're like really looking forward to seeing. But Arizona, their first round draft pick, Walter Nolan, first round pick out of Ole Miss, he had a knee injury the other day leading up to camp, and head coach Jonathan Gannon said he's expected to miss some time. Now, of course, they're always going to be vague in these timetables because they don't want to necessarily like tip their hand. Excuse me. But Arizona, in their division in particular, their roster, you look at it, it's got like some nice pieces, but outside of Kyler and Buddha, I don't think there's necessarily anybody you're game planning for. And so for them, if he is missing some time, like that could be detrimental to their roster.
Especially as a rookie. You hate to get injured as a rookie, especially like you've worked so hard to try to be in the position that you are right now, just to be injured in that first year where you're trying to fight not only for a roster spot, but for the respect of your other teammates. To just feel like you're a part of that locker room. So that just sucks to be out in that time frame. Yeah, but I know you did mention, I'm not sure if you want to speak of anything else on the injury there, but you mentioned and said there wasn't any players that might have been out long term. But I did actually find one. The Dolphins offensive lineman, Baron Matos, was injured during the final minutes of practice of training camp, I think today or yesterday, and he was actually airlifted off the field. So, yeah. So they say he's currently in stable condition, but that's one of the injuries that you hate to see or anything like that.
Airlifted?
Yeah. Airlifted off the field. In a helicopter.
Non-padded practice?
Yeah, non-padded practice. So, I don't know if it could have been like heat exhaustion in Miami or something like that, or I'm not sure, but conditioning day is usually first day back. So, it sucks to see that happen in the first practice. But
wait, did you guys, when at Finley, was your conditioning test the first day of fall camp?
We did not have a conditioning test.
You didn't?
No. Conditioning was practice.
If I were a coach, that would be my approach. But we had a conditioning test at Easter. And the way we did it was the conditioning test was the last day of summer workouts.
Mm.
And then if whoever was new, so like if you're an incoming transfer that wasn't there during summer workouts and freshmen that weren't there during summer workouts, your conditioning test was the first day of fall camp, and you couldn't practice until you passed it.
I feel bad for them guys that wasn't doing nothing over the summer a little bit.
Granted,
do I feel bad for them really? I don't know.
To a lot of the guys' credit, most of them passed it. It was only like, maybe like one or two that didn't.
Yeah, it's usually everybody comes conditioned and well prepared for practice. But you got your outliers.
If there's obviously like you got to learn the playbook, that's going to come with time. But you got to show up ready.
Yeah,
like come on now, that's the least you can do. Go run some hills.
I think most of the time they passable. It's not like it's something outrageous. Skill position wise versus line, it's not usually all the same. Usually have time marks that you can hit based on QBs, receivers, something like that. Going to hit these times or DBs, and then there's a lot.
It'd be skill,
mid skill, and big skill. That's what we called it. We called it skill, mid skill, big skill.
Right. Nah, they say the Ravens, they have like the most brutal conditioning tests in like the league. They got like 20-something 110s or something crazy.
That's a lot of 110s.
Man, what? Like you could like pull up Lamar and them Twitter every year they do it. They'd be like, hey, I didn't think I was going to make it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, prayers up to bro. I hope he's good.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But yeah. But saying in the spirit of a training camp, we've got some holdouts and some hold-ins, more contract disputes and disagreements, and I mean, when are we going to swallow the pride is my question.
I mean, it's either you going either one, like either party swallow the pride as a player and you be like, all right, I'm here to play, or you gotta grow some as a GM and sign these dudes, get that money on, get them paid. But like some's got to shake, man. These are good players. I'm talking about like some of the best on the team not practicing in training camp when you got a season coming up. And to my knowledge, before we get into who these guys are, it just feeds into last year. Like the whole thing with Brandon Ayuk and looking for money. You see how that had an effect on him in the season, just like timing with quarterbacks, getting in and out of routes, breaks. It just doesn't sit well when you got a 17-game season upon you and the first 4 weeks of training camp, you're not practicing. Like it just doesn't bode well. You can do stuff off the field in your own time, but that don't correlate to on-field reps in a team setting. So,
and on top of that, the amount of money you could lose by sitting out of training camp. Now, it's different with like mini camp and those things. If you miss those fines can be waived by the team. But once you get into training camp, if I'm not mistaken, those training camp fines cannot be waived. So you could lose, say if training camp is 4 weeks and you miss 5 days a week, you could lose up to $1 million if you sit out for the entirety of training camp. Now, some guys do the hold-ins instead of the holdouts where they're at the facility, they're rehabbing an injury, they're a part of like certain drills, but they don't do like team or anything. They're at every meeting. That way they don't get fined, but they're not participating in the main portions of practice. They might do individual and whatnot and keep it moving. But for guys that are like full-blown holding out, there's a lot of money to be lost if you sit out of training camp, which even if you do get paid, losing out on $1 million, it's still $1 million.
I want to say this. Some of us, we like that M. That M would look nice in my bank account.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'd have the intestinal fortitude to do it.
Well, but let's talk about some of these players now.
Yeah.
That first one.
And some of them we've already talked about.
Yeah, I mean, we won't touch on one of them in general that we talk about all the time because it just has not came to a resolution. Trey Hendrickson, he's holding out till he gets paid. He said it and he's sticking to it. He's not going to practice until a contract has come about or whatever they end up doing with him happens. It just won't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Trey, what I don't understand is I don't think he's vying to be the highest paid at his position. I don't think he's asking to be the highest paid non-quarterback. I just think he wants to be paid like fairly, like the Trey's deal that he signed after he had a 14.5 sack season in New Orleans. It was his first year as like a full-time starter. So then the Bengals paid him and they gave him like a decent contract, but it wasn't the greatest. He's now since like outperformed it. He's had 17 sacks back-to-back seasons. His first year in Cincinnati, he had like a 12 sack season. Of the 4 years he's been there, he only had 1 year where he didn't get 10 sacks. It was like 8.5, whatever. So I don't think he's asking for the biggest price tag in the world. So I don't understand, other than pride, why you wouldn't just go ahead and pay him. Because again, you really only have like 4 people on the roster that you're paying top of market value at their positions. Or, I mean, I don't even know if you would consider T's deal top of market. Would you?
No.
Because Jamar would be.
No, yeah, no. I wouldn't even consider him top of market because what T is maybe top 10, which is.
You know, but like you're paying Joe, you're paying Jamar, and then they had extended Logan Wilson a couple years back, but comparatively to like Fred Warner or Roquan Smith, I don't even know if he's getting paid anywhere near what they're getting paid. So you're only paying a handful of guys. Your roster is pretty young. Like Chase Brown is on a rookie deal. Andre Yoshivas, or each of us, he's on a rookie deal on defense. Jordan Battle, DJ Turner, Daxton Hill, Cameron Taylor-Britt, all these guys are on rookie deals. Even across the defensive line, Joseph Asai, Shamar Stewart would be on a rookie deal. BJ Hill is like the only veteran outside of Trey that's on the line. Who are we shelling out money to other than basically 2 people? So what's the holdup here as far as paying Trey? And I don't blame him for wanting to hold out. Unfortunately, I just don't think this is the franchise that you do it to.
That's a tough situation to be in for sure with him holding out. And I mean, speaking of defensive line and holdouts or hold-ins, Micah Parsons, my guy Jerry Jones has been very vocal about the contract situation over there in Dallas. And I don't know if everybody agrees with what he has to say. But it's tough being the owner and the GM. He has a lot of say and a lot of ideas when it comes to how he runs a team. So, to say the least, Micah may eventually down the line be paid as the highest defensive lineman in the NFL. Just how it is. He might end up being that. And I think he deserves it. How does that contract situation shake out? I don't know.
When it comes to Micah, I think he is looking to be the highest paid non-quarterback, but I think he deserves it. Now, that 2021 draft class was loaded. You have Micah, you have Jamar, you have Penei Sewell, a handful of other all-pro players that were in that class. But I don't think it's outlandish to say if any of them should have been paid, it should be him and he should have been first. Like, he's been all-pro every year but one. I mean, who can say that in that class? Maybe Jamar, but I just feel for Jerry, it's bad business.
Yeah.
Because you continue to wait. The price tag continues to go up.
Look, how many defensive linemen got paid this year? 4?
TJ Watt just got paid. Myles Garrett got paid.
Crosby got paid.
Max Crosby's been paid.
So a 3.
And then you also have, but again, he wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback. Justin Jefferson got paid a ton of money. Jamar Chase got paid a ton of. He's currently the highest non-quarterback being paid right now.
Yeah.
So the longer you wait, the longer the price tag goes up. And so you have arguably, I understand he hasn't won Defensive Player of the Year, but like he very well could. You have arguably the best defensive player in all of football on your roster who you drafted. And now we're going into year 5 and you haven't extended him yet?
Yeah, dude. That's just. It's bad business. Like you said, if you see a guy good, go ahead and pay him. Go ahead and pay him. Like, because it's just gonna get worse as you. It's gonna get worse for your franchise as you wait. Like, he's gonna pay him more money.
And we had talked about this last week. Who had recently got an extension that we had talked about? I know Brock Purdy got one, but there was somebody else who got it as well.
Oh, it's last week. I mean, we were talking about the 2 Jets players, Wilson and
Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. 3 years in, they extend them now. They're now ahead of what the market will be a couple years down the line. Like, they've already gotten a bargain as a team by signing them early. You're waiting until year 5 of his deal. Like, the price is only going to, if you had did it after the 23 season, like, that price tag looks a lot different now. But now it's like, we got to pay him Miles and TJ money. More than Miles and TJ money.
Yep.
And Dak Prescott made a comment regarding his contract situation. And I like Dak. I'm not a Dak hater like a vast majority of people. I actually not got into it, but had a discussion with a coworker who tried to talk down on Dak. And I'm like, you need to stop watching certain sports programming because you're just regurgitating all the typical stuff that you hear. But anyway, Dak made a comment how he was like, I'd give it all up to be a Super Bowl champion, pertaining his contract because he's slated to make $60 million this year. The NBA and NFL are different. The NBA, your deal is your deal. The moment you sign it, that's what it is till you enter the pearly gates. In the NFL, you can restructure at any time. And we see it all the time where teams will be like, hey, restructure your deal or we're going to cut you. We're going to get rid of you. We're going to trade you, whatever. And guys will be like, all right, restructure it. If you're Dak and you've got guys like Micah Parsons sitting around here and you're saying, hey, I would give up the $60 million to be a Super Bowl champion, would you not restructure to make sure that Micah can get this done?
I mean,
now I'm not saying this because look, I'm not saying this because I'm saying Dak should, because if I were in his shoes and I've got 2 children now and I'm married and we're talking about generational wealth, if I'd be willing to take less money that will go towards my children and beyond. But you made the comment that, hey, I would give up every penny to be a Super Bowl champion. And you have a generational player on your roster that could very well help you become a Super Bowl champion. Why aren't we restructuring this deal, my guy? 60 million? We can't make 40 for the year, 45 for the year to make sure that he gets his deal? Like,
but this the thing. You've seen what Jerry said about Dak and Micah, as in they haven't been on the field, injuries, so far and so forth. They paid them and stuff like that. Do you want to restructure for Jerry Jones now?
No.
Do you want to restructure? I don't think you want to restructure.
And Micah had made the comment like, hey, I'm not doing this for Jerry. I'm doing this for my teammates, which I totally respect. I get it. All I'm saying is Dak mentioning being a Super Bowl champion, saying he would be willing to give up money to be one. We have a moment now where you quite literally could give up money to help get one of the best players in all the NFL back onto the field. And we haven't ripped up this deal yet to restructure to ensure that. Again, I'm not saying, hey, Dak, you don't deserve this money. Hey, Dak, let's take some M's out of your account. I'm not saying that he deserves to have that done to him. I'm just saying, if you're going to say that, let's put those words into action. I don't necessarily think Dak has to do it in order for Micah to be signed. I really think it's just a matter of 2 people butting heads. Who all on the Cowboys are being paid right now? You got Dak.
CD.
Is CD getting paid?
And Trevon Diggs.
Terrence Steele got like an extension.
Yeah. Diggs got paid. CD got paid.
Outside of those 4 people, though.
Yeah, not really.
But yeah.
Nobody substantial, I believe, unless I'm forgetting somebody. But my thing is, when they did the Dak, I'll just touch on it quick. When they did that contract, when he got 60 M's, why did they go so high? Because at that point, I believe there's still a $4 or $5 million gap in between Dak and the next guy. And at that point, it wasn't 4 or 5. It was more than that. They got paid after Dak. So I'm just curious why they went 60 for Dak when they did go.
Maybe it was an overestimation as to what the market would be. And also, again, it's them dragging their feet. It's like, let's hurry up and get the deal done so that we don't have to overpay. I just think it was a miscalculation on their end. And if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
Like, all right, bet. Now, granted, I'm sure it's not like 60 guaranteed. It's up to 60. Like, if he throws for 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, Pro Bowler, All Pro, wins a playoff game, like he can earn up to 60. So it's probably baseline of like 45 or whatever it may be. I don't know. I just think right now these are 2 guys in particular that are vital to the success of their team.
Yep.
And I don't see why you wouldn't get it done. There's one more player who's holding out, had some off-season discussions with their current team about a new deal, and that is Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders.
Mr. Scary Terry.
He's wanting a new deal. He signed a 3-year, $68 million extension not too long ago. He feels as if he's outplayed it. Now he's looking for a new deal. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think his frustration about his current deal is valid?
I mean, we know they have a wide receiver situation over there with him for sure being the best option they have. He is, like you said, outplayed his contract, and they just pick up Deebo Samuel, who was paid not too long ago by the 49ers. I think he's in a situation where you're going to pay me now because you brought in this other receiver to help us out. And he's going to want money as well eventually. So you're going to play your cards right and pay the guy that has been here for this amount of time, done this for your program, been here through thick and thin, all these quarterback situations. And now that we found a quarterback, you don't want to pay me now? Nah. He's like, you're going to pay me when we got a chance to be great, not down the line or anything like that, where you bring in another talent and may look to pay them later down the line. So,
no, I think when it comes to Terry, I think in his eyes, it's like, hey, look, the time to pay me is now before a different reason. We have a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're not paying anybody big bucks necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there was like the 49ers took some of the brunt on Debo's deal to ship him out. Like, I don't think the Commanders are full on taking on that deal. You bring in Laramie Tunsil, like he's a decently paid left tackle, but Brian Robinson's on a rookie deal still. Austin Eckler is still relatively cheap.
Payne.
You got rid of Jonathan Allen.
You got Darren Payne. You got, just like I'm saying, a couple of dudes on linemen. That's good.
But like, they no longer have Jonathan Allen. They're not footing that bill. I don't know. Terry, for me, I don't want to say he's not deserving of a new deal. I just don't know what the deal is.
I think he's looking at like a T deal, if not like above a Calvin Ridley deal. Like he wants more than those other number ones on teams that could be number ones, but not like top tier money.
If I'm the Commanders, obviously he's not making Jamar and Justin money.
Yeah, he's not making
like
money.
DK. Yeah, CD.
What's DK 30 now?
Amon-Ra.
Yeah, nah, when he pay him Amon-Ra, yeah, but you're looking at. I'm thinking you're looking at about 28 to 30. That's what I'm gonna shake about 28 to 30. That's the thing. That's the crazy market of you're paying receivers a lot of money. They're paying receivers a lot of money.
I'm just curious what he was looking for. Like, if he was asking for like DK money, I'd be like, all right, like I think that's reasonable. He's been around that tier of receiver. DK has had multiple seasons where he hasn't touched 1,000 yards. Terry, for the most part, has touched it, minus like his rookie year. He's touched 1,000 yards. And him and Jaden have shown to have a really good connection on the field. Like, they hit the ground running. And so I would get it done solely because I have a young quarterback who's still growing, and this is our best option. Let's go ahead and get this deal done. So, no, I was a little surprised that he was holding out, but seeing how much he was making, I could see why he'd be frustrated.
Yeah.
3 years, 22 a year. That's, what's that, like 22.3, somewhere around there, 22 and a half a year. But yeah, no, I hope they get that deal done. The Commanders are a team that I don't think can be successful if everybody isn't there playing and healthy.
Yeah.
Like they're the oldest team in the league. Like, they just signed Von Miller. Zach Ertz is their starting tight end.
Wagner. Like, he just got like a lot of vets.
Like, I still don't think they really addressed their needs necessarily.
Long term, they went out. Long term, I think. Like, I don't think they addressed long term needs. I think they got it in the short term of what they're trying to do now. Getting a new head coach and everything, I don't think they necessarily addressed longevity in certain aspects. It is what it is.
Yeah, for me, they're boom or bust. Like, I could see them winning 12, 13 games or winning like 6 or 7. When I look at their roster, I'm just real skeptical.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Real skeptical.
But I want to talk about this Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts fiasco that's got everybody talking. Everybody's got Jalen Hurts outside their top 10 quarterbacks, especially Cam Newton. He's been very vocal about it. Other people have been pushing back on him, saying, if you win the Super Bowl, you got to get through Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has done this, and that. Cam Newton has not done this, and that. I don't want to ask you that question if you put him in your top 10, but what is your thoughts on where people have been ranking him and where he looks at?
Yeah, there's two parts, and I will answer the question. He's in my top 10. I do have him in my top 10 for two reasons in particular. I think in today's NFL, you have to be, not have to be, it is extremely beneficial when your quarterback is mobile. I'm not saying he has to be a runner, but for me, when I'm looking at my top 10 QBs, for the most part, you got to be able to rip off a 30-yard run at any point in the game. Like, I think that is vital. Outside of Tom Brady and Nick Foles in the last handful of years, every quarterback I take that back, Matthew Stafford. When it comes to winning Super Bowls, I think right now you need that mobile guy. You look at all the top QBs in the league, we can just stick with what many people consider the top four. Josh Allen, and I'm not giving an order, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes are everybody's consensus top four. All those guys are extremely mobile. And so for me, in today's modern NFL, it's no different than how in the NBA, everybody has to be able to shoot. To play quarterback in today's league, you got to be mobile. So for me, he's in my top 10. I don't necessarily blame people that don't have him in his top 10. My biggest pushback on this discourse is people attacking Cam or calling Cam a hater for not having Jalen in his top 10.
For sure.
It'd be one thing if Cam was dogging him as a player. He didn't, though. He just said, hey, just with this current roster, they're not relying on him to win games. And I don't think that's a disingenuous thought or take.
I mean, it's the same thing that people said about the whole Brock Purdy thing. Brock Purdy shouldn't get paid because he got so-and-so talent around him. But I mean, he's not saying, people keep going at Cam, like you're saying, he's not calling him bad. He's not calling him this and that. He's just saying there are guys in the league right now that, in his opinion, and his opinion can be wrong, his opinion can be right, that he believes are a better talent at the position than Jalen Hurts might be. Then other people might think differently, but it's not wrong for him to say that. I don't think. I think there are some great quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and I think the top 10 list can get kind of hairy when it gets down to that 7, 8, 9, 10 realm of quarterback. Because you got your top guys, but there are some guys that really border that line that can really take that next step, and we shall see how it kind of shakes out in that top 10 range. But
and I think part of the reason why there's so much outrage is there's this, and we've talked about this toxic discourse when it comes to ring culture, where if somebody's a champion,
they just are better than you.
They're better than you. Cam didn't win a Super Bowl, so therefore he can't talk about Jalen Hurts. Or there's other quarterbacks who have not won Super Bowls, so therefore Jalen Hurts is better than them. I get it.
But we still have football.
Yeah.
It's football.
I'm saying I hear what they're trying to say. I don't agree with it. At the end of the day, we still have to evaluate players to players. With all due respect, and I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, you know this.
Mm-hmm.
And many people that listen to this know that I am a Jalen Hurts fan. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if Jalen Hurts is better than Dan Marino. I would never say that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson currently or Josh Allen currently. No, I would never say that. But I think right now for people to say that Jalen Hurts isn't in their top 10, people get so offended because he just won a Super Bowl. It's no. Evaluate people player to player and go from there. And I understand why people discount Jalen Hurts because there are games where it doesn't necessarily look the best and they do have talent. For me, the reason why he is in my top 10 is because, and I'll eventually put out a full-blown list of mine, is in the 2 Super Bowls he's played in, it's kind of like how a couple of years ago now, I would have had Jimmy Butler in my top 10 players. Just when the moment arises, he steps up. And in 2 Super Bowls now, he's absolutely balled out. When he was required to be his best, he was at his best.
Yep.
And to me, that game in particular, to perform at that level, where you could argue he's the best player on the field in this game with the 2 best teams in the entire NFL, is why he's in my top 10. And I will never discredit him performing at that level for that reason. But there was, even before Cam did this video, there was this discourse of comparing Cam and Jalen as players. And I'm just I know it's been a little bit since Cam was at his peak, but let's not have revisionist history now. With all due respect, Cam Newton on this Eagles team,
oh my God,
I saw Cam go to war with Devin Funchess,
with Ted
Ginn, Corey Philly Brown. Come on, bro. Jonathan Stewart towards the end. Fozzie Whitaker. I guarantee there's people that don't even remember Fozzie Whitaker. Mike Tolbert. I mean, yes, he had Greg Olson. Mike Tolbert. Like, come on, bro. Ed Dixon at tight end. Like, Cam, I don't think people understand. Like, he was doing the Lord's work with that roster. Like, Kelvin Benjamin was out of the league before, like, his rookie contract was up. When he was healthy and, like, in shape, he played well.
Yeah.
But within, like, 4 or 5 years, he was already out of the league.
Yeah.
But Cam was out there with they had some good defenses, but, like, offensively, he was doing a lot of lifting.
Yeah.
If you were to give Cam Newton, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jahan Dotson, Will Shipley, Saquon Barkley, Jordan Mailata. What's the left guard's name?
Johnson.
Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens. They had Mekhi Becton last year. What's the left guard's name? I'm blanking on his name. He went to Alabama. Landon Dickerson.
Yeah.
Landon Dickerson. Like, imagine Cam with, forget the perimeter weapons, just that offensive line. Y'all talk about tush push.
Cam would have just been a straight up QB sneak, just go take it every.
Like, bro, come on, man. Like, we got to stop the disrespect.
Like, they
towards Cam Newton.
Cam online, bro. What do they be talking about? Cam Newton didn't do this. Cam Newton didn't do this. Did you see what Cam Newton did?
Like, bruh, he could throw it 70 and run it for 70. It wasn't all.
Dude, he was 240 pounds doing that, bro. Dude.
6'5.5". My, like, Cam Newton, like, comparison was like Russell Westbrook. Like, it wasn't always pretty, but Cam was emptying the clip every game. He would throw it 40 times, run it for 20 times. Like, he did not care. It may be 52% completion at the end of the game, but doggone it, we going to have 3 or 4 TDs. And one of my TDs, I'm going to be jumping over the pile. I just need Ted Ginn to get open one time down the field.
They were reckless abandonment.
Like, Cam was like Russell Westbrook, where he didn't care. The clip was emptied every single time. But to Jalen's credit, and this is another reason why I do have him in my top 10, is Jalen, before the Eagles became the super team that everybody reveres him as now, when they made the playoffs in 2021, when it was just him, Miles Sanders, and Devontae Smith, Devontae as a rookie, nobody was calling them a super team. A lot of people didn't even have them going to the postseason that year. But with just the rookie Devontae Smith, him and Miles Sanders, now the offensive line was good, but it wasn't until the following season where they acquired a ton of players. Like, they went out and got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in a trade that offseason. They went out and traded for A.J. Brown. And that's when we really started seeing, like, the Eagles become the Eagles that we know today.
Yep.
But 2021, when they drafted Devontae Smith and he was out there with one arm with the elbow brace, people forget that. Miles Sanders isn't even a starter anymore.
Look,
with all due respect to him.
He in a three running back system now.
Yeah, down in Carolina.
No,
he's
down in Dallas now, but yeah.
Yeah. He's in Dallas now, but he signed a deal in Carolina to be their back, and unfortunately things didn't pan out for him. But Miles Sanders was just starting back in 21. But Jalen was out there with what many considered lackluster perimeter weapons, because that's why they drafted Devontae in the first round that year.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why they traded for A.J. Brown the following year. So he carried or played well enough to get his team into the postseason in 21. So I do think that Jalen doesn't necessarily need everything around him to be perfect.
Yeah.
We saw that this year when A.J. Brown was hurt, Dallas Goedert was hurt, Devontae Smith missed some time. He still went out there and played well. But we just got to stop this ring culture debate for every single argument. Like, look, I get Jalen won a ring. He's in my top 10. But if Cam Newton, of all people, doesn't have him in his top 10, like, leave it be. Your only argument can't be, well, Jalen won a ring. It just, we got to dig a little deeper.
What didn't you do, Cam Newton? Like, why is that an argument?
Yeah. All-American, Heisman winner, MVP, like, let me add this. Sorry, Taj, I stuttered. Let me add this. He won MVP in an era where Aaron Rodgers was still in the league, Tom Brady was still in the league, Drew Brees was still in the league, Ben Roethlisberger was still in the league, Andrew Luck was still in the league, Phillip Rivers was still in the league. Like, come on now. What are we talking about here? He didn't win this in the league where it was like Rich Gannon was the best, like Jeff Garcia and them. We're talking about multiple Hall of Fame QBs still in the league, still playing well, still all-pro level. and he won MVP. Like, this wasn't like some fluke year. These dudes were all still in their primes.
Yeah.
Tom Brady went on to play great football, MVP caliber football through 2022. Aaron Rodgers is still slinging the rock right now in 2025.
We're forgetting somebody that was still in the league too. Who did he play in the Super Bowl?
Peyton in 2015 was not Peyton Manning.
I'm just saying, he still was in the league.
He was, but like Peyton, that's in 2015, threw 9 touchdowns to 17 picks. A lot of people forget that. He could barely walk in 2015. Brock Osweiler started a lot of games that season. That defense was just otherworldly.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They had Bradley Roby, Aqib Talib, TJ Ward, Chris Harris, Von Miller, Danny Trevathan, Derek Wolfe. They had a squad on defense. But yeah, Cam winning MVP is, again, like Russell Westbrook's MVP with Bron, KD, Steph, Harden, Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he won MVP when it was still all-time great, still playing. Cam winning MVP in 2015 is one of the best MVPs we've ever seen. So they better stop playing with that boy.
Yes, sir.
He,
Superman.
As the kids say, he was him.
No,
he was him.
But yeah, next topic, I guess. Next topic, man. We're talking about adversity, or not adversity, but who faced the most pressure when going into this football season. Like I said, we're in training camp season. Season's coming up here soon. It could be player, team, coach, anything like that. Who faced the most pressure in your eyes?
I'm going to go with coach, and I'll say Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin has earned the right to go out whenever he wants to. I think Bill Belichick was also somebody that should have gone out whenever he wanted to. But this offseason, we've seen far more movement from the Steelers than we've seen pretty much ever. Like, Steelers just don't really make trades. They did. They've done it twice now. Going out to get DK Metcalf, going out to get Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, and then bringing in a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I think the Steelers are in a position where it's like, hey, we need to win and we need to win now. And I don't think another one-and-done playoff season or just another non-losing season keeps Mike Tomlin his. Even though I love Mike Tomlin as a coach and as a man, I think he faces some of the most pressure going into this season.
I'm with you. And then I guess I'm going to stay with coach as well, but I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
You've invested a lot in Tua Tagovailoa, and you invested in Tyreek Hill. You've invested in Jalen Waddle. Yeah, you invested in this core that you've got right now, and it hasn't panned out the best. And what offensive style you've been running, and you've made the playoffs a couple times, once maybe, and you just haven't been able to get over that hump. Tua faces a lot of backlash. He's injury prone. He's got concussions and everything like that. You paid him. What's next? Can you get over that hump, win a couple playoff games, do something that people don't think you're really going to do? Because I think he has been a little bit on the hot seat, and people have been giving him a lot like, you need to win now type of scenario. So I'm not sure if they'll be able to do it, but I think there's a lot of pressure for him and the Dolphins to be good this year.
I'm going to give one more coach, and I'll give a couple players. I think Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, has a lot of pressure going into the season. The Eagles have made the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years. They've had 2 of those years. They had really good OCs that ended up getting head coaching jobs. And one of those years with Jeremy Johnson, where it just didn't work out and they got rid of him in one off season. With all the players that they have, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley's your backup running back, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith, all those offensive linemen, you can't go out there and not look competent and not put up points.
Yep.
Because it's no different than Jeremy Johnson. One lackluster year and you're gone. So even though it's like a luxury to have all these players, we've seen in the past that hasn't always worked out for OCs. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Kevin Patullo because it's like, hey, look, you can't mess up with these players on our roster.
Yeah, and I'll go player before you give yours. I'll go player. We talked about him earlier today. I'm going to go quarterback Justin Fields. He is been in the league for going on his 5th year in the league, been with the Chicago Bears, been with the Steelers, get an opportunity to start in games. Now he has a toe injury. It's kind of do or die this season. You are named the starting quarterback. They signed you on a 2-year deal. It's either you win, and with a bad Jets team that was mid, they made some arrangements to make it a little bit better situation. You win 8, 9 games, maybe more, or you might not be the quarterback for any team going into the next season. So it's either this is your opportunity to become the guy for a team, and it's either you make it happen or you don't. So it's kind of a your turn or your move type of situation for him. So,
this is the thing about Justin that's been frustrating is everybody talks about the talent. You and I have had our discussions and our disagreements about Justin. Talent wise, it's there. Like, we know that he's super athletic. He can make every throw, but for him, his biggest issue is being able to play in rhythm and play in time, play within timing. Even last year, like with the Steelers, like the offense was super basic with him. Like, they didn't really expand the playbook whatsoever. And I understand that it's early in the season. Like, you're still coming into your own with this new squad. You have a really good defense. Like, their defense played lights out the beginning of last season. Like, they won a game where the team kicked like 2 field goals. They won like 13-6 or something along those lines. So you can play a lot more conservative with that. But one thing that we know with NFL coaches is if they feel as if somebody is capable, they'll allow them to do it. I mean, look at Bo Nix in Denver towards the end of last season. He had free reign pretty much. Like, they opened up the entire playbook at his disposal. And so with Justin, it's, can you perfect the craft of playing quarterback in the pocket? And we know that it's more than doable. If there was anybody that you would have questioned whether or not they could perfect both, it's Lamar Jackson. But he's up there with the best of them. And so can we get Justin to play in rhythm and be mobile within the pocket, step up, slide, whatever it may be, and just perfect that aspect of his game? Because other than Lamar, there's not anybody else more explosive at the position. There's other people that are mobile. Like, I think Jaden, you'd put in like the top 5 in that group. Kyler, I think, has a claim to being, up there with Justin and Lamar. Josh, I don't think, is terribly far behind them. But at the position, he's 2 or 3 most explosive. We just got to get him to perfect the craft of playing in rhythm.
Yep.
I'll stay with quarterback as well. Trevor Lawrence, new head coach, new GM. I mean, he's got to go out and perform, and they're in a division that
is winnable.
Even though the Texans have a good team for sure, but you're not scared of the Titans. You're not scared of the Colts. Trevor, even though like monetarily he may have some security, we've seen in recent years that doesn't mean much. Denver moved off of Russell Wilson.
Atlanta moved off Kirk
Cousins. The Jets moved off of Aaron Rodgers. Like, if a team feels as if they need to go in a different direction, they'll go in a different direction. And I'm not saying this is all his fault. I think it's agreed upon that Urban Meyer just wasn't the right move. They went out and got Doug Peterson, who's more quarterback friendly, but now he's on his 3rd head coach. And I don't think the organization is going to be like, man, all 3 times have just been on the coaches.
Yeah.
So I think Trevor, they went out and they got Travis Hunter. They went out and got a few more pieces.
Brian Thompson, his 2nd year, like
Brian Thompson, like it's put up or shut up now. And I like Liam Cohen as a head coach. Like, he had Baker look really good last year, even when Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were out. Liam Cohen can coach, and their offense coordinator, Grant Udinski, he's coming from Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings and their staff. So in theory, his offensive play calling, his staff should be good. I think this is the year for Trevor to become who many people thought he would be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the quarterback trend right there, and guys from the same class, is kind of the time to do your due diligence and be the guy that they drafted you to be, or they just didn't draft him. You were drafted to the league to become. So,
I'm
with
you. Do you have any other players?
Player wise, I mean, not necessarily like put up or shut up type guys like those guys, but it's time for them to take a next step type of thing. I think, as I wouldn't say now number 1 quarterback draft pick in my team, Chicago. I mean, he was not, and it's not a put up or shut up thing, but it's year 2. You got maybe as arguably the best offensive coordinator in the league last year, at top 3, if not 1 or 2. And you were able to put up stats with a mediocre head coach with a lot of variables coming to play with who was calling your plays. But now you've got that guy behind you. you kind of got a safety belt and Ben Johnson, but can you take that next step, take that next leap? Because a lot of people are saying that quarterbacks drafted after you are better than you. You've got Jaden Daniels, who had an excellent year last year. Bo Nix, who had an excellent year last year. You got Vikings' new guy becoming a starter, J.J. McCarthy, who they see is looking pretty excellent right now for the Vikings. Like, you just got guys, like, you need to prove why you were the number one pick over these guys. So it's your time to really show why.
I think physically he most certainly can. I like Caleb. There's nobody. My favorite quarterback last year in the 24 draft was Bo Nix, but I didn't necessarily think Bo Nix was a better quarterback than Caleb. He was just, if I had to pick, he would have been my guy. But I think physically, Caleb most certainly can. Like, he can sling it, but it goes back to perfecting the craft, getting your eyes in the right spots, knowing where the ball is going, understanding what we're trying to accomplish with each and every single play. And quite honestly, and maybe it's just nerves, just getting used to the guys. Like, he missed a lot of throws last year.
Yeah. He took a lot of sacks. The offensive line was bad, but he took a lot of sacks on him. Holding the ball too long, it's just things you shouldn't do.
He missed a lot of throws downfield last year. You know, guys would be open and they would just overthrow it, like not put enough air underneath it, and just, I don't know, it was odd. I didn't necessarily expect it from him. I just think it's a lot of stuff going on in here.
Yeah.
Like, as somebody who's played the position, you got to calm this. And the moment you can call this and just calm this and just go out there and play is, you know, when everything is gravy. But no, I think he'll be good. I think Ben Johnson will get some easy completions for him. Like, we saw that a lot with Jared Goff, with the fake fumbles, you know, the split out tackles and all that stuff. I think Caleb will definitely make some leaps and bounds this year. I just think the division is so tough. Even if he plays better, I don't know if it'll translate into the win totals that many people would expect, just because the division with the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings is brutal. As far as another player that I think is not necessarily on the hot seat, but you would just like to see take that next step, and that's Kyler. Kyler has, since he's been in the league, has kind of teetered on like that,
just like
10 to 15 range. Like, there's some weeks where he looks like a top 5 quarterback. And then there's other weeks where he looks like middle of the pack quarterback. And it's not all on him. Outside of like DeAndre Hopkins, he hasn't really had like a legitimate perimeter threat. Obviously, DeAndre's not there anymore. They tried the Hollywood Brown thing, didn't pan out. They drafted Marvin Harrison, who he would admit that he didn't have his greatest season last year.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy to say. Rookie guy, 800 yards, so that didn't have a great season.
Yeah.
But look, didn't.
But
what's the Marvin Harrison that we like? One of the best receivers to come out of draft type guy. Hey.
So Kyler, I think, has an opportunity to really make his stamp this season. Granted, this is a guy that's a 2-time Pro Bowler, so it's not as if he's a scrub. But can he take that leap to where he can consistently carry the team and lift them to levels that even if they may not be able to get there themselves, he can get them there? And I think with Trey McBride, who's been an absolute steal of the draft for them, I like Michael Wilson, the receiver out of Stanford. He's going into year 3 now.
He's good.
We mentioned Marvin Harrison. James Conner's still like a good back. They got Trey Benson from FSU, who's got some pop. Their offensive line is still coming along.
Drafted a guy out of Ohio State, Paris Johnson.
Paris Johnson. But I'm ready for Kyler to really solidify like who he is as a player. Like, talent-wise, there's guys who he's more talented than that as of today play the position better. I think, so like Jared Goff is somebody that more often than not will end up on somebody's top 10. Kyler should be in that spot, but Kyler just hasn't consistently been there. You know, like his ups and downs of play, his fault or not his fault. Kyler's the guy where I'm like, he needs to take that next step.
Yeah, I'm with you. That touchdown.
He that number 1 pick and that baseball draft pick all over again.
Yeah, like the Kyler that never lost a game. So
be like water.
So he got in the league or something.
As Bruce Lee would say. Yeah.
But I think that touched on all of our basic topics, especially we did heavy NFL today. But for our kicker today, the kicker, breaking news for college football. We got 2 different things. Kicker's a little different today, but it's still a kicker. One of them being Look, the North Carolina Tar Heels have put in a little inquiry about changing from the ACC to the SEC. I just don't know how that looks. Like, I just can't see it yet. I just can't imagine it. But it's all based on football nowadays and basketball. That it's like a stigma where if you're not in the Big Ten or the SEC, you can't make it to a championship, get more looks to making a championship, into a playoff bracket, into this and that. So now you're like forced to, if I'm going to be a contender, I need to be in one of these two conferences to be a contender. So it's kind of a weird thing nowadays, but it's like there might as well not even be conferences. It might as well be just put the best people on your schedule every year.
Which is funny because Kurt Cignetti, the head coach at Indiana, actually just was like, you know what, we're going to adopt the SEC scheduling model. And they got rid of like big time out of conference games and went and scheduled some FCS teams. So it's like, I don't know, college landscape it's like AI, it's always evolving. But I just don't see the need currently, if you're North Carolina, to try to switch. The only reason why I would see them doing it, and it's athletics related, but not really, it's just for the money. Like, what's the haul each SEC school is bringing in compared to the ACC? But from an athletic standpoint, if the ACC is down, it would benefit you to sweep the ACC in football or basketball to improve your playoff standings, as opposed to going to the SEC to then do what?
Middle of the road.
I mean, basketball, you'd be able to compete, but football, I mean, are you overtaking Georgia? Are you overtaking? I mean, we can go to some of the current like mid-tier teams. Are you overtaking Oklahoma in the SEC? Are you gonna jump A&M, Georgia, Bama, LSU? I mean, are you gonna jump Florida? As of right now, the only teams in the ACC you really have to worry about is Clemson and SMU. I mean, maybe FSU, but I don't understand the logic other than SEC schools make a ton of money. Let's go to the SEC.
Yeah, I don't know how this is all going to shake out and all the conference stuff. Everybody's moving around. It's just a different time in college sports. So just to say the least, and that kind of leads into our next topic: different time in college sports. I'll let you go ahead and take this one. Breaking news: President
Donald Trump has signed an executive order that will prohibit third-party pay-for-play payments and directs the Secretary of Labor and National Labor Relations Board to clarify that athletes are amateurs and not employees. This executive order in particular has been titled Save College Sports. I can say a lot. I'm just curious as to why he cares. I could see if his alma mater was involved, but it's not. Like, I could see if he had like personal vested interest, like, hey,
he wanted Clay. He was the Clemson alma mater, and then you already know.
Yeah, he went to Clemson.
That was like, I'm not paying these guys, and then everybody like,
or he was a Bama alum or whatever it may be. Then I could see him wanting to step in to try to level the playing field. I just, regardless of whether it's Donald Trump or another president, what I don't want to happen is we really start limiting the opportunity for college athletes to make money. For so long, and you and I can attest to this because we were in college before a lot of these new rules came in place, we couldn't even make $1,000 a month without putting our athletic scholarships at risk, because the NCAA deemed that as, well, if you can earn $1,000 a month, so $12,000 a year, you can now pay for school, which is a false equivalency. Don't know where that logic came in at. But we couldn't even work side jobs, really. Guys had to work like under the table jobs, like go be a busboy and just like get paid tips, just be able to like put gas in their vehicles. And this is a story that's told now, obviously, like bigger schools, that was less of an issue. Richard Sherman, who went to Stanford, which is a Power 5 school, talked about how his bank account was negative, but they're selling unnamed but Richard Sherman jerseys in the bookstore.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if the transfer portal or the current state of NIL and paying players has been perfect. I'm sure that there are ways
for sure
to streamline it, make it more efficient, put some more guardrails around it. I don't necessarily know if this is the way to do it, though. Nor, again, my biggest fear is there's going to be such an overcorrection now to where athletes will have a hard time earning the money that they deserve. And that protection of, hey, if I say if, NFL isn't in my future.
You know what I see happening? But I'm gonna let you go on. I know what I see is happening coming up soon.
But like, yeah, let's just say the NFL isn't in my future, or the NBA, whatever it may be, isn't in my future. I can still have an opportunity to change my family's life for the next few generations without having to play professional sports. I had a conversation with my dad. I said, Dad, what would it take? Like, what amount of money would it take for you to never have to work again? And he said, in today's current world and in this country, I'd say about like $5 million. Like, you take half of that, you invest it into portfolios and properties. Like, you would never have to work another day in your life. Guys can very well make this in college right now, where you don't even have to go on to be a professional athlete, but you can make $5 million over the course of your collegiate career and set yourself up and your family up for generations to come. And so I just hope that this doesn't limit that opportunity.
What came to my mind is, in the course of NBA, the G League, how a lot of guys are foregoing college and going to the G League and playing a little minor league ball to prepare for the NFL. I mean, to NBA. If this is something they're going to take action with and limit money, I can see the UFL growing significantly in the coming years. If this is something that sticks, I can see this growing quite a bit and actually becoming a feeder for the NFL, where guys, they're going to increase pay, things like that, and television, because you've got talent, great talent that would be in college playing in these leagues, making more money, getting more revenue, and actually becoming professional athletes earlier before now taking that step into the NFL.
Yeah. So to that point, the NFL, when the XFL had relaunched back in 2020, so this is like right before the pandemic, it was booming. They were like paying players, and Taylor Heineke is like on record of talking about this. Like, they had a lot of really good players in that league, and they have a lot of good players today. But you had Jordan Ta'amu, you had Cardell Jones, you had Josh Johnson, PJ Walker. Like, you had a lot of NFL veterans that went to the XFL and were getting paid legitimate money. Now, the reason why that iteration of the XFL folded was because the pandemic hit, and they were paying like big money, so it wasn't sustainable. So they had to just disband it. This current iteration of what is the XFL and the USFL merging, I don't necessarily know what deals they have. I don't think players are making as much money as they were in that last iteration of the XFL. But if I'm Daryl Johnson, who's like the VP, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Danny Garcia, who is The Rock's business partner, I would totally jump on this. Rock is on the board at TKO, which oversees both the UFC and the WWE, huge money makers, and try to be like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to, as you mentioned, pour more money into this league to entice some of this top talent to come in, because this could very well backfire on the NCAA and the administration at hand. And if I'm a kid, we have a good friend of ours who will more than likely be on the podcast next week, who said, I'm going to college to play football. If I don't have to go to college to play football, then I'm not going to college.
Yeah.
And so if you were a 3-star, 4-star, maybe even a 5-star, and it's like, I can go to the UFL for 3 years, work 3 months a year, 4 months a year,
not do class, not what to worry about,
and make a few million and just train the rest of the year. My only requirement is footballology, even though I may not make as much money, but it's football year round from age 18 till
21.
It's my third year.
Yeah, I was at 30.
Yeah. Third year out of college. I don't see why not. But again, I don't know the money that guys are making in the UFL. With that being said, though, I mean, they've got TV deals with ESPN and Fox. Like, they got to be bringing in some type of revenue.
Yeah. So, I mean,
if you got deals with Fox, and
it's just going to be interesting. Like I said, it just depends on how this holds off, like how long this lasts for, what that comes about. Because especially if you can't get these third parties to pay the money, there's always a way around. There's something that they find a way around. So I'm interested how they figure out how to make money. So we shall see.
I don't want the legal activity to start going on again in college football, where it's like, hey, there's a duffel bag at this gas station.
It just might.
There may or may not be $2 million in this duffel bag. Be there at 5:37 p.m.
Or the Louisville fiasco. They're bringing in some strippers. But
yeah. I feel like NIL limited a lot of that stuff from happening. And so I just don't want like the Wild West days of college athletics coming back around. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to keep up with.
But man, again, I appreciate you hopping on this. It's been great. 10 episodes down. This is crazy. And it's been a great 10 episodes. I'm glad to see everybody still watching and tuning into the podcast. Nevertheless, keep following us on Instagram and TikTok at Locker Room Pod and checking out our episodes on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, once again at the Locker Room Pod. My dog Kijana, thank you as always. See you back here next week. Maybe some changes for next week's episode. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll check it out. All right.
All right, my dog. I'll see you.
Yep.
All right, peace.